Good Monday, folks. It is Bucs Report, the aftermath with AJ. Turn up right now. We got our co-host Slick, aka the British guy, the coolest British guy. What's up, my man? How you doing?
I'll take the coolest British guy. A bit of swag on that. I'm good, mate. Just got through the draft. On a bit late for us. So the first round, I got to see the first a couple of picks and what have you. And obviously, you had a show on the Friday night, and I had one a little bit later on.
Yes.
And then before you know it, the draft is done, and we're talking about undrafted free agents and how this is all going to shake out.
Absolutely, but got to give a major shout out again to James Canada. You guys got to go look him the Buzz Talk. James Canada, to me, from what I've seen, he was the only one who truly predicted the Bucs would get Kalijah Kancey. I didn't hear anybody talk about Kancey coming to the Bucs, so that was a good call, James.
He was someone I had on my mock drafts a couple of times if I couldn't get a tackle. But I'll be honest, I was always going tackle. And Anton Harrison was available. The Buccaneers chose not to go with him. But there was one thing that was said in one of our previous shows by I'm just trying to remember the name. JT Olsen said something like that. Jason likes to get guys who are like in the high percentile of their athleticism of their position group. And guess where Kalijah Kancey rates? Number one in athleticism for his position group. So that just tells you what he said came true. It comes into fruition. He said it on this show, so we drop knowledge on the show too.
For Buck fans out there, we're not just them regular bar fans that just talk a little something here and there. No, we back things up, and we also have resumes and experience. You got a good coach here in Slick. Shout out to his squad. You got someone.
Oh yeah, next week is our first official game of the season, so it's getting nice and tasty. I'm just doing all my scouting because we've got about 4 games of other teams have already played. So
yeah,
I'm sat there going through my scouting and getting that right.
Yeah, and look, please put some of the highlights. Especially if y'all win on the show, so we can get a look, guys.
Oh, for sure, and there will be streams available as well for anyone who wants to watch it.
We love football, so we know what we're talking about. We eat and breathe and dedicate ourselves to this shit. So that was a great pickup. Let's get into these. Christopher Cole says, hey guys, what's up? Yeah, Chris, always feel free to chat. We about to chop it up and just break these picks down one by one. We already talked about Kalijah Kancey. He has been compared to Aaron Donald due to his height and size. He's a little faster, but that's a hell of a comparison and expectations. I'm here to tell you this right now. If he plays like Aaron Donald next to Vita Vea, the Bucs defense is going to be number one for years to come, at least 3 straight years with them 2 guys. They both can stop the run and get at the quarterback. That's why I told people that was a really good pick.
It was a good pick because we always talk about the edges, and the edges are usually the ones that get home. In a 3-4 defense, but in this case, now you got a guy who's eating blockers, and you've also got on top of that, you have a guy who can rush the passer as well as stuff the run in Kancey, and that's a really good thing to have because now it's like there's more pass rushing threats, and obviously being next to Vita Vea or a few positions, a few techniques away from him. He's gonna, and if he ends up eating the guard and the center, that tackle's gonna be all on his own, and he's gonna have to block someone. And the choice is gonna be: do I go and block Kancey or do I go and block JTS or whoever's on that side? Yeah,
agreed. And that's the thing. If you are an offensive, but for seasoned veteran OCs, your first priority of business is Vita Vea because he's established. That's the top 3 defensive tackle in the league. And this is where Kancey, hopefully he is the guy that is going to be able to get at the quarterback when Vita is double, because that's what we expected out of Logan Hall last year for improvement. But Canty, I really do believe in him. I think um, this is a really
It
this
was
is
a
a
nice
really
pick.
good pick. This was a really solid pick. I was very happy about that. We, because we couldn't get Broderick. Damn the Steelers. That was a good pick for the Steelers. Anton Harrison was gone. So we and you have both talked about it. We all said it starts in the trenches. The edge don't mean shit. But
And they pretty much went three picks in the trench, didn't they?
yeah,
One, two, and three.
that's how you, and that's what I was really happy about. They I think they're listening to us. Slick, see, light
They're
might
watching
not.
the
They
show.
might not. They might have somebody here trolling and saying, "Hey, these guys kind of they got a point. They got a point." We said the trenches are where it's at because look at the second round pick, number 48, Cody Mock, aka Ryan Jensen's evil twin or good twin, if you think about it.
Yeah, the memes have been going out there about them too, and
I loved it.
we've got a few firecrackers on the team now. So I
That's
believe Luke Getteke as well. He's redhead.
Yes. Look, we have basically the Viking descendants of on the Bucks. Somebody called them the Gingineers.
I
That's
saw that one.
hilarious. But I do like it. FCS O lineman of the year, but he brings I hope he's going to bring intensity and aggressiveness and physical
And
ability,
nastiness.
nastiness. That's what the Bucks offensive line lacked last season. And I know the injuries, the identity of the line was gone last year. We can all agree on that. Buck fans, we all can agree. The
Yep.
basically the mentality of the Buccaneers offensive line last year was don't allow Brady to get hurt on your watch. And that's a lot of pressure, especially for a quarterback who is a statue anyway. Now, with the mobile quarterback, these boys can have fun. These boys can get dirty. And here's the question I want to ask you, Slick. What do you think Cody is going to be? Are they going to put him at his natural position of a guard, or do you think they might move him to right tackle and Wirfs will be a left tackle after all?
Yeah, I mean, there was a big thing. I think at least somewhere it was stated that he will be that Wirfs will be it will be the left tackle. But they don't actually have a right tackle per se on the team right this
Yeah.
second. So I wouldn't be surprised if they just go right. Let's let's have a look at what Luke Getteke can do in that position, and then maybe have a look at what because that's what your extended what do you call it all your OTAs and stuff like that's going to be about that.
Yes.
I think that they need to find out who can play left tackle on who can play right tackle on that line. Because right now they don't really have any tackles on this, as far as I know, on the signed onto the squad. Realistically, now that
Yeah.
being said, don't actually be surprised, Buccaneers fans, if Donovan Smith does make a return. I don't believe he's been re-signed yet, so you could get him on a vet minimum contract, and he ends up being your tackle again for another year. But we don't know. I like the pick. I just wish it was a tackle, but I think that was probably the best available lineman that they went with.
Yes.
Um,
Yes.
if memory serves, Luke Getteke did have a decent game, last game of the season, or one of the games of the season,
Yes.
um, at one of the tackle positions. So
Mm-hmm.
um, it'd be interesting to see what they decide to do there. Um, when they say things like a guy can't do this and a guy can't do that, to me that just makes Cody one of one. I think he'd want to have it more. Look, if I was in his shoes, I'd want to play tackle, because if you can make your 4 years and you play as a serviceable to good, an average to good left tackle in this league or right tackle in this league, you are going to get paid.
Yeah, nothing less than 90 million.
Mm-hmm.
Because that's a very important piece. But uh, I think a lot of people fail to realize this is why the quarterback situation is going to change dramatically. With with a guy like Baker, if because he can be mobile, you don't need an above average or elite left tackle anymore. As you said the key word serviceable. As long as he doesn't get him killed, because that is going to be something that I think Baker will bring to this offensive line now. He's mobile, so he can make
Mm-hmm.
things happen. He can improvise. Uh, and then with weapons like Evans and Godwin still, you have to honor that, because if a corner or a linebacker gets lazy and he leaves the middle of the field open like they do a slant or something, Evans is going to be open or Godwin will be open. Somebody like that. So I do like the fact you're right. We do need to make sure who's going to be that right tackle just in case if Wirfs needs to move over. But nastiness. This is where Canals, I think he picked these guys for a reason because he said, we're going to run this damn ball. I have when I saw them draft Cody, I said, okay, Canals actually is serious about running the damn ball. And why shouldn't he? You got a guy in Rashad White. Now that
the next
yeah,
lineman that's a tackle to be taken was by the Philadelphia Eagles in the 3rd round. So
yeah,
it's a bit of a drop off from where we picked. So
I agree.
they obviously just took the best available guy that they felt in the trenches
Yeah,
and see what they can shake out. Like I said, don't rule out a return from
Donovan.
Donovan, but I do think they'll probably try and see if Lugetke can play one of those positions. The interesting thing is how's this line going to look like, because at the moment we're like got guards galore right now.
Yeah, yes, we do.
We've got an overhaul of guards because you've got Hainsey can play guard, and that's his natural position. So he's got a very good shot to make the team as a starter. Then you've got Aaron Stinney's returned, and we all remember what he did at the Super Bowl. He
Yep.
he didn't really miss a beat when he jumped in. And you're playing against a good pass rush. It's not like no one goes to the Super Bowl with a terrible pass rush. You're going with You're going with a very good pass rush.
I agree.
You got that. Then on top of that, we know who the center is. That's done, and we know that Robert Hainsey can jump in at center if needs be, because he's already done it. Then who else have we got? We got the guy that we just signed from the Chargers.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Then you got Luke Geteke, who's technically a guard on paper.
Yes.
Then we just drafted a guard, so we now have 5 guards. We're not going to carry 5 guards. One of those guys is gone. And not only that, I do believe there's someone else. Nick Leverett. 6.
I think Leverett
6 guards. You ain't keeping 6 guards. So 2 of those guards are going to be gone.
Yeah, Lever's going to be that starter unless Cody outbeats him. But you're right. You have a point. Somebody is going to have to adapt, or they're gone. Or they might.
We're not carrying 6. We'll carry 6 guards through the preseason, but once the preseason is done, we're probably carrying 4 guards. That's it.
Agreed. And
I think they'll keep Hainsey just because he can play center, because then it means you don't have to have a center as well, as so you can carry 9 linemen, so to speak. Now, if say Luke Geteke can play right tackle, then you lose 1, but you haven't actually lost him. You've been able to move him to another side. And then if you have another guy who can play a tackle position like Cody, who can be jumbled around a little bit, so you do a bit of line shuffling, then that's your line sorted. You've already got it. It's what's on the paper right now, because you're able to transmute people around.
Yeah,
that's be interesting.
It's going to be interesting because if the guard position is strong, then that will immensely help the run game, because now you got
especially those inside runs.
Yeah, that's right. And I think that's what they were focusing on, because of course Bowles is a defensive minded guy, so he's old school. He wants to probably most likely run it and have a solid defense. And we picked up and I forgot his name. So if anybody out there help me, we picked up an undrafted running back who everybody's been talking about.
Bear with me a moment. I'll be able to tell you about him in a minute once I grab this.
Yep, and it just slipped my mind because I was looking
at Syracuse guy.
Yes, yeah, and apparently
Sean Tucker.
Yeah, apparently, from what I've been reading, that he would be a
3,000 yards, 27 touchdowns, 600 yards in the air, and 4 touchdowns.
So that's not bad. He'll be a good compliment to to Rashad, especially now that what's his face, he retired. So thank you for your help. Forgot the running backs guy, Giovanni Bernard, retired. So they beat him out. But yes, thank you. I really do like. I have a better feeling going into the season now with the line more at depth. So if injuries do happen, we're not stranded anymore. Now it's like, okay, we got, now we just need to find that identity, be nasty with class, of course. So thank you, Jason Light. That was good. And again, a small guy from North Dakota State is not the biggest school. It's not Alabama or nothing. So I think you're right. Cody's going to have a chip on his shoulder. If they're telling him you can't do this, you can't do that, I hope that inspires him to go, you know what, I'm going to make all of you guys eat those words. Because I for whatever reason, I just feel that Cody, like you say, he's going to be a hell of a guard.
Mm-hmm.
If Gedeke, if Luke, I say this, if Luke could be an average left tackle, I'd be thankful for it. Or if he could be an average right tackle, I'd be thankful. And if again, we know if Wirfs plays left tackle like he does right tackle, that's a $200 million man.
he's he's gonna be he'll be the highest paid lineman in
That's
football.
what I'm saying. He would literally he could get a blank check because if he plays at that level, oh my god,
If he gets a Pro Bowl or second team All Pro,
yeah,
gets second team All Pro, he's
he's paid.
he's paid. Like there is no just you can't go. I mean, he didn't go All Pro in his first season. He went All Pro in his second. He's in his. We've already given him his fifth year option.
Facts. He's paid.
And the thing is, if they pay him early, they don't act. I think with like Mahomes and what have you, you have to wait for the original contract to run out before you start paying the. So realistically, you kind of get a 2 year head start. So when he starts, like I believe Mahomes has only just really unlocked his actual contract
Yeah.
last year or maybe the year before that. Before that, he was still playing on his rookie deal, but they'd already extended him. So the moment he crosses over the threshold, that's when they start paying him the big bucks. But it's almost like guaranteed, like this is what you're going to get paid regardless. He
Yeah.
signed on the guideline.
Oh yeah.
And you're basically playing with free cash money then, so free money then, house money. So
Yep. Buck fans.
let's talk about the other pick then.
Yes, I'm sorry. Yeah, but because hey, the line is the trenches. That was one of the biggest concerns that we all were talking about. So it's okay to stay on this one. But yeah, you're right. Let's go to the third one.
But you were right. I think the biggest concern is we need to find another tackle.
Yes,
yeah, that's the only thing you can say about the Bucs now is they need to find another tackle and just stay healthy for that line.
Yeah, stay healthy and yeah, play smart. Now, third round, 82nd pick. I like this one. Yaya Diaby from Louisville. 9 sacks last season. I like him. He's going to be, and one thing that I do love that Jason Light said is that every edge rusher that comes out is not completely done. They have to be polished. What this is good competition and depth because he's going to give JTS a run. He's going to inspire these guys. And again, the most
if not, he becomes part of a rotation of really good guys because JTS as a rotational piece is not a bad. If you want to play pure, you want to have a pure speed piece.
Yes.
I just wish we want for JTS is to refine his game so he can be more balanced as a player. So like someone like Shaq is completely balanced. Of course, he's really fast, he's really powerful, he's really strong, he's really technical and what have you, because that's what makes you the top dog. You can't just be the speed guy and be the top and you're the top dog. You can be the speed guy that is not quite as good as the other two things, but you're still compared to the average, you're still average at those things. Whereas he is quite, I wouldn't say poor because it's not really a fair comparison, but he isn't nowhere near as good. But his speed, his single line speed is absolutely elite. And we just feel like me and you've said many a times, we just wish he could control that body a little bit more and be able to move, like just be able to break on a dime, cut back in, and just if he learns that, he will be Hal, especially if he can flip the speed. So he goes once just shifts that gear and straight off to the other direction. That's what's going to cause the real concern. Because if I'm a left tackle and all I know I'm going up against you, all I got to do is get that extra step because you're not going to beat me in a race because I'm just going to wash you out of the play. Mm-hmm. There's no way in this game where you're just going to go all the way around me and then come back down on the quarterback. You could, but the quarterback's going to have to be stood there a very long time, and it'll be a quarterback sack on the quarterback for taking too damn fucking long. Exactly. It won't be one based on me. It'll be like, well, yeah, Steve, you held him up. He sacked him in 6 seconds. It's not on you, brother.
No, and in this day and age, most quarterbacks are getting mobile. It's not all about the speed, but again, a lot of quarterbacks are taking off now. So you're right, JTS. You can't do this because by the time you even get around, the play's over already. Mm-hmm. And now, not only that, you're tiring yourself out physically and most importantly mentally because now you're getting like antsy. You're like, damn. So at this point, I think Yaya is going to be a good piece because I like that light is he's getting more. He's actually trying to win in those trenches, and an edge rusher like Yaya, again, he could be a good rotational piece. He can give JTS the time to get some rest, and again,
Anthony Nelson too.
Yep, Anthony Nelson. Yes. So I like him. He has a good amount of speed, but I do like his size because I think Yaya is going to be the type where he might represent that balance because he's strong enough to move a lineman if he needs to. Now, I want to make sure. Last time I checked, I don't know his run stopping skills, but with the guy like Canty, it's not Canty and Vita. That kind of cancels everything out because
Yeah, because they're probably more force players, or yeah, they're
right,
probably more. They're probably you're probably using them more as a force or a force contain rather than a straight
yeah,
up.
right. And then you still
Yeah,
have Levante and Devin here, so you have your veterans right there. So that takes care of everything because the most important thing is we want to make sure and prayers and blessings to Shaq Barrett. Um,
absolutely.
you want Shaq when he comes back to slowly get himself back into the game because we don't know what he's going to be like, and we don't want to force Shaq to have to be the man at this point. We
From
want Shaq,
day one, because we saw what happened with Chris Godwin when he had to be the man from day one.
yeah, we
We had a
want
few setbacks.
yes, progress slowly. We want Shaq to come in and go, hey, at this point, until you get back in full form, be a mentor to these rookies. Be a mentor and give them the techniques because that's what makes Shaq special. He's a technical assassin. So teach these guys, help them refine their skills, hone in on their talent. And then because I would be like Shaq, I don't see you getting back into full form until week 11, week 12. And that's good because then you can be heating up. If we got a playoff record win, I mean, like where we can get to the playoffs, that's where we need you the most.
Yep.
So Yaya is good. I really enjoyed that. Like you said, a rotational piece, and nothing is wrong with that. For all you know, Yaya could be the key to where JTS goes, and that lights a fire where he goes, okay, I really got to get my
Or
shit
he
together.
takes over and he's the man.
Exactly.
No reason he can't. He's got a chance to earn a bit of the big money now. So you
Exactly.
want to be stuck behind somebody, or do you want to be or be a rotational piece, or do you want to be the man? Because
Yeah,
you have an opportunity. There's essentially two spots available, I would say, for a short period of time until Shaq is 100%, and we don't know when that is. That's going to take time. He has a very good opportunity to take one of the starting spots and then solidify it to a point when Shaq comes back. They go, well, which of these two starters is the dud?
facts. You are right, and that's the thing. It's like,
And that's a good thing to have because what you're going to do is you're going to put that stud, and then you're going to put the dud with your stud, and Shaq comes back. Then you can do a bit of a rotation going on with your stud and your dud. And he's not really a dud; he's just not the better out of the two.
right.
You could have a Yaya and JTS rotational side that's just constant. Like,
Yeah, and if you have with the rotation, that can also mess up the lineman because now he might not know Yaya enough to go, okay, I know what JTS is gonna do, but what is this guy gonna do? Now he has
mm-hmm,
to think within that split second. Oh shit, he's not gonna run around. Oh, I thought he would run around like JTS. Oh no, he might go through me. And again, this could tire out your lineman because now let's say Yaya is good enough to where JTS could be fully energized where he
mm-hmm.
comes back in, and now that speed does take effect in the third or fourth quarter because the lineman's tired now. Like, shit, I'm exhausted. I'm tired of this. So that is a good pick. Shout out to you again, Jason Light. You did your homework. And then another in the fifth round, the Bucs got for the 153rd pick, inside linebacker. Forgive me if I butchered your name, but Servokia Dennis from Pittsburgh. He had 94 tackles and 7 sacks last season. A middle linebacker. This one right here, I think it's a subliminal shot to Devin White, but that's just me. Because
And they got to set themselves up with what life's going to be like without, even if it isn't
yep,
about. Um, it's going to
Devin.
be Levante could be retiring. So that you've got to have somebody there. You don't want to start from scratch from day one. And if you end up with two gone, then at least you can go right. First pick is going to be first one or two pick, number one pick, depending on where you're picking. Obviously, in the draft, if you're picking high, then you can wait to the second round. If you're picking really low, as in you're like in the 20s or like mid 20s or something like, because you made the playoffs or what have you, made the playoffs and won a playoff game, then you might want to draft them in the first round. But if you were to lose Devon and I don't think they will. I think they would probably, if they were desperate and Levante says, look, I'm done. I can't really go anymore. I'm not feeling it anymore. I don't want to be a losing team anymore. I'm just done with football. We're like, okay, fair enough. It is what it is. I'm sure the Buccaneers will tag his ass.
Yeah.
I'm 100% sure of it because they just can't let someone like that go. And if that becomes messy, then it becomes messy. But
Mhm.
he's going to play on that contract for 1 year anyway. Um, Usually the tag. I've tried to explain this to a couple of people. People ask me, "Oh yeah, we tagged this player," and I'm like, "Yeah, but the tags. You do understand the tag is just there to maximize your chances to sign a deal before the season starts." And they're like, "What?" And I'm like, "Yeah, you're not just tagging him to pay him that much money. Some people do that, but usually it's used if you've ran out of maneuvering time to
Yep.
chat about this contract by signing it the franchise tag or the franchise. Yeah, by signing the franchise tag, you end up having up an extra time to sort out your deal. So a lot of them will sign the tag and then will sign an actual deal before training camp, and then it's done. So it could be that case, but it
Yeah.
all comes down to what we're going to see. But I think the Buccaneers are setting themselves up with a nice little bit of depth, and then if that depth, if they see that depth potentially, because we've done really well with middle linebackers in this like kind of fourth, fifth, and sixth area, especially if they're from LSU. They
Yeah.
tend to shine and look like they could become stars. So the Buccaneers have always done pretty well, I think, at the middle linebacker to find good depth guys or guys who could push to become starters. Things haven't happened where one wanted more money and the other one got in a car crash, and it is what it is. But that being said, it is a good pick, and if they've got to set themselves up with life without one of those guys, and if it's both of them, at least you've already got someone who knows the scheme, and you're
Hmm.
not having two new guys. Imagine having two middle linebackers that haven't got a clue about your scheme, and you've got to teach them both to become leaders of your defense. This
Absolutely.
is a plug in and play guy if the worst happens. That's the way I see this. Is the insurance policy. This is
Yes.
the light of fire, like you said, because they believe this guy can climb the depth chart and get into a starting position. It's it's covering all bets.
Yeah, and one of the most important things I think, like you said, Levante might not be around forever. This is a chance to show to see, okay, this guy might be able to actually learn and pick up more from Levante than Devin did. It's like Devin, you had a few years, so your coverage it has has never improved like Levante. Levante, we forget people forget under when we had that dumbass coach, the one that just toes on the line guy. Levante was a blitzing guy. He was everything. But and then when his coverage was okay, he improved. If Sir Vokia can improve on that and be just an average coverage linebacker, like you just said, if Levante is gone, now you have someone who has Levante-esque type of work ethic and knowledge of the game where he can improve.
Mhm.
And if you
I
lose
mean,
Bo,
he's going into a situation where he's going to get coached up by two really really good linebackers, one that's super explosive and one that's super consistent.
that's right. And it's funny because if Devin really you Buck that was talking about the Devin White situation, here's something else that hopefully if he has a change of heart, you could help a guy with Devin because he likes explosive players. You could show someone like Yaya, who's an explosive guy, on what to do and how to get and beat tackles and how to be good against the run. So this I know with the Devin situation, it's a bad look for him, but that's another story. Hopefully, in the locker room, it changes. The locker room situation when the
I think we
season
don't know the context as well. I think that
is
we're reading as like the phrase wasn't demanded is asked for a trade, and
yeah,
then I think the worst if it was just reported that he asked for a trade and there was nothing going on social media wise, I think everyone would be like, it's just him like having a look at what's going on around, and if there are any biters, because you never know, you might. I'm okay here, but I could do better elsewhere. Let's check my options. Yeah,
yeah, and
maybe it was one of those situations. But the problem was he started like really kind of. It looked like he was ass licking
the Eagles
the
and
Eagles players and whatever they were doing. I was like, oh my god,
yeah,
okay.
and now and we can't stand the Eagles. First of all, that's blasphemous in Tampa. You don't do that. And then you're attacking Buck fans on social media. It's like we went through this shit with Quan Alexander. It's like, what's up with these LSU linebackers? You guys have the skills, but your egos overmatch your skills. But whatever. We're done with linebackers for right now. Let's get to this other fifth round pick.
I just
This
wanted to finish on this one. But is there any of these guys that when we were picking, obviously we all have them in our mind's eye of guys that we wouldn't mind getting was there anyone when we were picking going, oh, I would have rather me personally would have liked that person. Now there is somebody in this part of the draft,
Yeah,
and his father used to play on the Buccaneers on that championship Buccaneers team in Caillou Blue Kelly. He was
yeah,
picked three or four spots after we made our pick, so that was a pick that we could have potentially got.
I know.
But I think that's a nostalgia pick.
Yes, it was. I actually wanted a safety. I wanted.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's my biggest takeaways. We didn't walk. My biggest, biggest cons with this draft is I always trust that they're going to do what they're going to do because they're going to do what they're going to do, right? I'm not a draft GM. I'm not a scout. I'm not looking at everyone's tape on a day to day basis. Um, so I don't know what they know. You know, I'm going by. Most of the time I'm going off stats, and if I'm brutally honest, I'm going off what everyone else is saying and kind of finding the middle ground. If I'm brutally honest, and
Yes.
there'll be a couple of people who've actually watched. You know, we've all watched it. You can't watch every single college football game known to mankind and have a breakdown of every single player in every single game that you watch. You just can't do it.
No.
Anyway, so I think this was more of a nostalgia pick, but because it would have been kind of cool.
Hell yeah.
Um,
No, I agree. I wanted to say from Alabama, but that was my biggest thing. But I can
yes.
the simple fact that you're still building within the trenches and you're keeping your linebacking core strong. I forgave that. I said, Jason, you and we got Ryan Neal. We got the Neal guy from Seattle, so it complements and you have depth. So I can live with that. Now this next draft was actually I was actually surprised, and I actually really like this pick. The tight end Payne Durham from Purdue. First of
Yes.
all, you want to talk about nostalgia? The last offensive guy we got from there was Mike Allstott, so
Mm-hmm.
Purdue power, and then the media is wrong.
Pain drain.
Yes, they put a picture up of him where he looked like he just got let out of Alcatraz in Lewisburg and Leavenworth. But there was on my previous video I posted today. He broke all these tackles and he is a solid blocker at tight end. So now, if the Bucs want to run the ball, you can use him as a blocking tight end to further help the offensive line, or you know me, you know how I like my schemes and offense. I'm putting the double tight end next to him and Cade Otton, a double tight end set.
Mm-hmm.
Because he's a big body, both and I think Cade Otton is a more fluid and finesse type of tight end, but that's okay
Tell you what I
because
like on this one. Just we're going with X's and O's on this.
yeah,
Give me tight bunch.
that's right.
Give me tight bunch with two tight. Give me with two tight ends, and then the guy at the back would be Chris Godwin screen.
Yeah, yeah. You can't go wrong with that. You
you
can't go wrong
know
with
what I'm
that.
saying?
And the thing is, Durham is strong too. So it's not like he's slow. He's a big body guy, but him and Cade Otton, you pick your poison. And like you said, a bunch. Hell, I could put Mike Evans in a slant or a go route. Now you got to watch if Caden, I told you Caden he's fluid. He's a lot more fluid. So
Mm-hmm.
if a team doesn't have a linebacking core that has the speed to keep up, and you got Baker who can improvise by running out of the pocket, or you do a rollout play. That was one of my favorite picks of the draft. I said that is what I'm talking about. Again, you said when we talked about the line nastiness, he could bring nastiness as well.
Mm-hmm.
That's a big man, big dude. That I couldn't believe we got. I thought he would have been gone in the 4th round. I think people are judging him about his hands, like his hands aren't maybe like what a K Dotton is, but you got to go see this highlight where it's like 4 guys tried to tackle him and he broke that shit and he just ran down the field and scored a touchdown. Now in the NFL, it's going to be a lot different, but
He's making plays.
Yeah, that's going to help the run game. That if Canal is serious about that, I think they are. You pick a guy like that now, man, I'm happy about that. Was an excellent pick, and like I said, Purdue, that's that Mike Allstott essence. that's the. I mean, what if he comes out? What if he has like the same impact, sort of the same impact to the Bucs like Allstott did? That Woo, that was good. We got another offensive weapon. We kept the firepower going. That's good.
Yeah, I was happy. To be fair, like I said, I always go with what they go with. I mean, I would like to. My biggest peeve of this draft is we didn't walk away with a tackle and we didn't walk away with a safety.
Mm-hmm.
But you got to trust the process. You got to, yeah, you got to trust the process. I'm sure that we'll probably sign it. I'm guessing we might sign a tackle, and I'm guessing we'll probably sign a safety at some point.
Yeah,
Keanu Neal is still no, not Keanu Neal. The other one, Logan. Is it Logan Ryan? Yeah,
Logan.
Logan Ryan. He's
Yeah,
still available, and there's probably somebody out, some other people, some other guys out there that we could potentially get. So
I
I'm not too worried. They obviously have a plan in what they want to do. It's just I know the way they like to work with their safeties. They usually have three in rotation that they use.
yeah.
One usually plays nickel, and then they bring in the other guy or what have you. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I'm just that was my biggest I wish we walked away with that. You know,
Of course.
because I'm not worried about getting wide receivers. We took a wide receiver, I'd probably be looking at a safety
Agreed.
or another corner or something like that. And then what was the last one? Another linebacker was that final pick of the draft.
Yeah. Well, it's funny. We did get a DB, Josh Hayes from Kansas State in the sixth
Mm-hmm.
round. Uh, you already know how I am. I hope he's good at man. I don't do that cushion shit. Uh, I like that. I mean, he looks like he's a physical tackler. I've heard about him, but not enough. I thought I wanted to get Emmanuel Forbes, but Washington just had to be silly and get him so soon. I was like, damn. But uh, I'm okay with this one too. Like I said, to be honest, I don't know too much about him. I vaguely know him, but as I believe in Bowles because this is what Bowles thrives in.
Yeah,
So I
I
think
mean, it was a defensive minded draft, and let's say it's the defensive side that took the biggest hit in the offseason so far. Like the offseason, I mean, you've not yes, we lost Tom Brady, and that's the biggest piece. However, like that's one. What we're talking about, yeah, it's a
yeah,
quarterback.
yeah,
So it's always gonna trump anything. But when you talk about how many multiple positions that we lost from a starting point of view, realistically, Tom Brady was the biggest piece, and then after that, there's not really a lot that we've lost.
yeah. So
The
now,
rest are all backups.
yeah, and now there's no excuse. It's like in a way, it's like for Bowles, the organization said, okay, your defense, we are expecting this defense, and I don't think this is a stretch. This better be a top 10 defense. No excuses. No excuses. Top 10. You didn't lose your biggest pieces, and now you added value to the trenches. So I
Oh
it,
yeah, I mean they've replaced. I mean, don't be surprised if Will Goulston can maybe come back. But right now, let's talk about the future of that. They refurbed both lines. Right now, this Buccaneer football team looks like it's going to have Vita Vea in the down the middle on a zero technique. You're gonna have Elijah Cansey on the one side, and then you're gonna have probably Greg Gaines on the other side. You got, and one of them's super beefy. The other guy, we know what Maui can do.
yes,
He can move mountains, that boy.
yes,
And
he
then
can.
we'll be interested to see what our guy can bring in, who can play a bit of a pass rush. So if I'm looking at what I want to put in my linebackers behind them, I'm probably going to go speed next to the power guy, and I'm
Yep,
probably going to go with power next to the speed guy,
that's right. That's right.
just to even it up. Because what if you can get them to do this?
Yeah,
Chaos,
chaos or God,
chaos.
yeah. And what if Vita and Canty beat both their guys? Now you have a disaster up the middle where if your quarterback isn't mobile enough to get out, then your other guys can get through. Not
Mm-hmm.
only that, we know how Bowles is with his disguised blitzes. Now you got to with
And
Antoine.
delay blitz. He likes to delay blitz
Yep.
too.
Delay blitz, or you put Winfield down in the box. And like you said, because it's so overwhelming, the quarterback is going to go to panic mode and he think he's going to be safe by rolling out. That's when Antoine Winfield goes, nope.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you're right. The defense of line so far is going to be solid. And then rotation. JTS looked like he's getting a little winded. Okay, we get Yaya in there. Now you have
Mm-hmm.
Yaya who can keep the pressure going. Or, and again, we already said it. Now you don't, if, as a quarterback, you gotta kind of look out for this guy. Go, you know what? I don't know what we're gonna do, but we're gonna call a safe play. We're gonna throw a short pass, or we're gonna do a screen, something to where until I'm comfortable knowing who he is. So I do like that. And Josh Hayes, like I said, I hope if he becomes a solid guy in tackling, I think Bowles will is good. Now, I'm gonna go to the next person we picked because this one right here has we thank you for everything, Scotty, but we got somebody else. Trey Palmer from Nebraska. Off 4-3-3. I lost it. I said yes. Spread. You know how I like my spread offense.
Yeah, I know you like your spread.
I'm like, look, damn it. Uh, I would be like, your first season, Trey. You just going go routes for the most part, right? Your duty is to make the corner and a safety go shit.
You're gonna pull them away.
Yes, pull him away. Like, hey,
And if they don't treat you with the respect, it's coming.
that's exact. It's like, look, if that
Make
safety,
them
right,
respect you, and if they respect you, they'll go with you. When they go with you, we'll deliver the ball to someone
like
else because you are opening the field up for us, baby. But if they
exactly,
don't respect you, you're gonna eat.
and that's exactly how he should. The mentality is because there could be a game where you, like you said, Trey, you might only get one catch for 10 yards, but everybody else, Evans has a 180-yard day because of you. Or as you just said, he don't disrespect you. You might get 4 catches for 170 because they keep going. All right, he ain't got no hands. That I do like that. I really like that pick as well because now, again, Buck fans, this isn't the end of the world. But Brady being gone, Rick Hughes said this, and God help us if he's right. I'm starting to be a believer. Slick, the more that I've looked at it, and then with this draft, the Bucs are gonna be better than they were last year.
I think so.
Due to the fact, though, but this isn't no knock on Brady. Brady, we already know who he is, but we got to keep it real. A guy with Baker, if he's mobile, with a mobile quarterback, now the line doesn't have to worry about anything. Now the receivers, now we know what Baker is. He's going to be a risk taker. Now guys like Evans and them can eat again. It's no coincidence that statistically, when Winston was here, Evans' numbers were high. Because he forced it and he threw it to him where he knew I have faith in Evans. I'm gonna get it. Brady didn't do that. He was more
Careful.
it's safe. Yeah, he was careful.
And he was super careful last year.
Yes, and he was super careful last year, and that's why now the Bucs offense is going to look different because again, let's say let's just go back to that again. Trey Palmer fucks around and gets open because Baker runs out of the pocket and he scoots this way, and the corner is too busy paying attention to Baker, and then with that 4-3-3, he breaks out, and now old corner can't recover and bomb. That's a 50-yard bomb down, all because Baker can move.
Yep.
You
And
know
not just that. Like you said, there's probably not going to be much respect to begin with. But listen, like it's how Scotty Miller made his name. You know, he had that season in 2020. He was amazing in that season, and of course, Buccaneers fans fell in love with him. And then when he went, everyone was like, "Oh, why are we doing this?" I was like, "Because he's a one-trick pony, and we can get another one for free."
yeah,
Like we're probably he was a fourth-round draft pick. This guy's also
yeah,
sorry, sixth-round draft pick.
yeah. You said that already. You said that. Hey, he's one trick pony, and what did the Bucs do? They got them another guy with the same amount of speed. It happens, guys. What I hope is that Trey, if he has a good season, he can be
Can
productive.
develop into an actual full-on receiver.
Yes, because everybody, for Buck fans, you know why Scooter was getting scooted because everyone knew on the line of scrimmage bump him because of his size. He was too small to really try to get past someone if you jammed him. If you jammed Scotty good enough,
He's not angry enough to fight through it.
no, he's not
Because
angry
Steve
enough.
Smith Senior, there's no
No,
way that boy is way undersized, and that boy could
yes,
fucking fight.
right. And sometimes I'm glad he doesn't because you're gonna get him killed. Because let's say he does, and then he decides to catch it, and the middle linebacker just, and
Drilled
that's
him.
it. That's it. So That's the thing about certain speed receivers that a lot of people don't really understand. If you put some muscle on them and they're a one trick pony, they're through. Everybody's not going to be your Tyreek Hills where they can have a balance, because even that's what Tyreek was going through, because he's not a tall guy. When you're not a Randy Moss or Andre Johnson or Calvin type of speed, those are 6'5" giants, so it's hard to jam them. Otherwise, they'll make you pay. But when
Yeah, not
you're
many people get away with jamming Mike
right, most people don't
because
get away.
he'll just run through you. He's not going to run around you.
Well, he'll pick you up and go, I think you dropped something, and then
Yeah.
yeah. So,
There's two different ways of foot. You got the average size, the prototypical wide receiver body, and they will make you miss based on their feet and their body movement because you either bit too early or you bit too late or what have you. They've tricked you or what have you. And then you got the ones who just don't care and will run through you.
yes, your Calvins and your Andres and Mike Evans of the world. So yes, now let's get to like the final pick you said. Another linebacker, Jose Ramirez from Eastern Michigan. Good pick too. He might be a special teams guy for the time being, but again, depth. Um, Overall, if you had to say, give me your letter grade for the draft and give me one word to describe this year's draft.
The word is muscle. Um, the grade, that's a tough one because I don't like giving grades out on. I can only go on what on the paper. I'll give it a B minus.
Okay.
B minus. I'll give it a B. A B.
Mm-hmm.
I think the first pick is A, slam dunk.
Yes.
The second pick, as much as I like it, I don't know if we actually needed that particular pick,
Mm-hmm.
but I get why it was done. Like obviously, the drop off of tackle was quite a lot. Otherwise,
Yeah.
they wouldn't have. They would have gone for another tackle. So, and they didn't.
Yep.
Now, do they see like if he turns into a bona fide tackle, then that bumps that up as an A pick. And that's what I mean about when I'm grading. I feel like giving a grade based on just picks is difficult because I want to see what they can do in the NFL because we don't know. You could get a guy who's done absolutely not bugger all, but not hasn't been statistically great. Our fourth round picks, our fifth round pick might end up being the starter next year,
Yeah.
and then
Yeah.
he goes from being a nice little depth piece that the Buccaneers picked up to being oh my god steal of the draft.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Point.
I don't want to give a letter grade. I did this the other day. I was reading up about letter grades for the draft last year. So all these people going, so and so and so and so says that this team did the best in the draft. And then I looked at their draft picks, and I believe it was the Arizona Cardinals last year, and their draft picks did fuck all, but they got the highest grade in the draft.
Yes. Yes.
Their first draft pick was a tight end that got less than 300 yards and 2 touchdowns.
Damn. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That dude.
Their second draft pick was a defensive end that got 2 sacks. So when we're talking letter grades, it's so easy to go, oh yeah, this person did this person did that. I want to see the end piece. Like I used to do a thing where we would get 32 guys and we'd all have a team.
Mm-hmm.
So I got given the green. It was all kind of took out of a hat. It was placed around. So I had the Green Bay Packers, and they actually had someone from one of these like draft companies. I believe it was the Draft Network. They had one of their guys grade our draft, and mine was down as a C. But at the end of it, I want to check my fucking C, and it was like I drafted 4 starters. So realistically, I had the best draft out of everyone.
Yeah.
But on the paper side of it, I don't know if they needed this, and I don't know. I didn't like that pick, and I didn't think that. I think he could have got better. I think he overpicked on this guy. There's all that kind of stuff going on. But in the end, I actually did really, really well. I had two guys in the 7th round that ended up becoming starters.
That's right. No, you're right, and that's why I should say hypothesis.
Yeah.
Hypothesis is great because my hypothesis grade was B. Same. The first one was sensational. It was a knockout. The second one, I was like solid, and that was my word.
I like the 3rd pick more than the 2nd pick.
Agreed. I like the 5th round pick in the tight end because
I think we needed another tight end because
Yes.
we're losing someone, and we need someone who can catch the ball as more of a receiving threat because we know we've got that blocker dude. We also have a guy who can catch the ball and block. If we can
Mhm.
get a clone of Kate Darton, which it kind of feels like this guy is in the mold of.
Yeah, and that's why I really enjoyed this one from Payne Durham because physical, nasty, and he might end up being more of your tight end if you do throw it to him. He can catch it in traffic because he's a big body guy, and
Mm-hmm.
he goes down. And again, Kate Otten is that fluid guy. He's more of your
Finesse.
Travis. Yeah, he's finesse. He's your Travis Kelsey. Um, Even though I do think that K. Dotton plays a true tight end position because he blocks when he needs to, and he ain't the best at it, but he makes it happen. It ain't like Kelsey, where Kelsey is just praised for just being, like you said, a big slot receiver. But that's another argument for another time. But yeah, I wanted the Bucs to get a legit tackle and a safety, but I do like the fact that all the guys that Jason Light picked, they all have a lot of things in common. They're ultra competitors from what I've seen, and then looking at their stats and stuff and reading up on them. Like I knew who did I know the best? I knew Cody just because people talked about him a lot. I knew about Yaya, but
Mm-hmm.
that's a really that's about it. The rest of these guys I vaguely knew, but I had to do super research. Like,
You had to read up on them.
yeah, I read up on him and I watched certain highlights with Payne. Again, Payne Durham, that was my favorite offensive guy that we picked. Uh, so I do think that the offense is going to get better gradually. But I am happy that Bowles solidified this defense because again, there's no excuse. If you got Vita and Cance, if Cansey can be half of what the Aaron Donald hype is, the Bucks defense should be top five. Levante is always going to be Levante. Antoine Winfield is going to get better. Vita Vea is going to be Vita Vea. The biggest thing that we just needed to stay is healthy. If these guys can stay healthy, that's a good sign. And the Canty one is a knockout. I think that's a home run, in my opinion, because the simple fact someone that can stop the run and get at the quarterback, that doesn't put so much stress on Vita. That's what I was concerned about all last season. I'm like, I want Vita to be healthy. I don't want him to end up like another Gerald McCoy where he's taking so much of the load by himself. So
Yeah, I get you.
Canty
I get
did.
you.
So I hope Canty does for Vita what we wanted Booger McFarland to do for Sap.
Okay.
That's a throwback. Remember,
Yeah.
McFarland was brought in to help Sap. It's just that McFarland couldn't stay healthy enough. But if Canty can stay healthy and Vita stays healthy, oh god, we might have the shit. They those guys in the trenches by
You got to
themselves.
also remember Greg Gaines playing next to Aaron Donald too,
That's
so
right. Those guys, those three, if they just
that's a nice. When I was thinking about it, like imagine that with Shaq on one side, and I'll probably put him on the side with Fancy because he's a little, and then I'd probably put a JTS or maybe whoever wins the job on the other side, and that's a three-headed race in Yaya, JTS, and Anthony Nelson. That's a three-headed race. Who's going to come out and merge? That's going to be a battle in camp. That is going to probably be one of the most interesting ones because that's a spot that no one has.
yeah,
Potentially, two of those three will be starters to begin the season, and then
yes.
one of them will stay the starter and be phased in a small. That rotation piece over on that side would be really nasty,
I
especially they will bring different things to the table. But if Yaya can grow and become, but I honestly think it's going to be a nasty rotation. Just imagine 30% of the snaps, 30% of the snaps, and 30% of the snaps going to these three guys. That's just going to bang, 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 and they're all free, all hungry. If all four of them walk away with 4 sacks, job done.
Facts. I agree. Hell, just with the three people in the trenches, JTS just becomes average. That's a 7 to 9 sack season for him off the
Mm-hmm.
break, and that would be a major boost for him. 7 to 9, just with those, just having those guys in the trenches
I
alone.
think
And yeah,
I think with the skill set that they got, they can play around with that line so much with the line stunts and twists and stuff like that. there's going to be some chaos that they can have, and that's stuff that he likes to do anyway in Coach Bowl. So I love the fact that one of our rivals went for a running back, and I was like, against us. Okay, well we're famed for having a really good run defense. So okay, you go and spend that. I mean, I'm not a believer in spending first round picks in running backs unless you're really, really like you're in the late 20s.
Or if you're the second coming of Walter Payton, Earl Campbell, or
when was the last time we had one of those? The last one. The last one was Derrick Henry, and he wasn't a first round pick, I don't believe.
No, you're right. It's
honestly, it's a curse. Don't do it. Just go in the second round and go get them. Go get them early in the second round. It's worth it, and you don't have to use as much fucking draft leverage to go get them. It's a replaceable position. You're going to be replacing that guy in less than 7 years.
Yeah.
Even if he's great, he will fall off because they just so much wear and tear. And these Georgia running backs or these teams where they come from, what's going to impress you when you draft one of these guys? It's the amount of yardage, the amount of touchdowns, and their efficiency. The problem with that is they usually got shit tons of miles where these teams don't usually have great quarterbacks, because that's why they're using the running back 90%, 85% of the time or whatever. Yeah. And they're just running them through for a brick wall time and time again, being hit by linebackers, other D linemen who are chomping at the bit to get a piece of them, knocking them on their ass. Guys, by the time they get to the league, they are burnt the fuck out. And then they go from playing 10 game seasons to 17 game seasons. Yeah. I just don't see it. For me, I love the running back position. It's one of my favorite positions I started off playing. But in the NFL, the way it's moving, it's all if you want more of a Christian McCaffrey, because look at him. If you run him the fucking football, he's going to die eventually.
Yeah,
and that's no slate on him. He's a really good running back. But he's better in the pass game because you'll probably get more production out of him if you can play him half and half, because you're not burning him out in a game where he's being constantly hit by linemen. Because you go up against the Buccaneers defense, there are probably 7 people who are going to rip your head off, and 2 of them are Levante David, 3 of them are the defensive line, and the others are the outside linebackers. They're all big dudes.
Yes.
So it's not like you're being tackled by cornerbacks on a regular basis. You're being tackled by big motherfuckers.
And you're right. And the thing is, they're faster now. A guy like Devin White hits you.
When you're playing in college, you're playing against a guy who might become a first-round pick. You're playing against a guy who probably will be a 4th-round pick. You're playing against another guy who's going to be a 6th-round pick. You're playing a guy who's going to go against undrafted. You're playing another guy who's got 2 more years before he's shown his full potential. Now you're going against a guy who is a 1st-round pick, who is a 2nd-round pick, who is a 3rd-round pick, but has developed. Yep. You know, so you're basically going against college super teams.
That's
who want to obliterate you, because Saquon Barkley, he can't do it. No, you can do it in college. This whole generational back where they can flip the whole thing. I think the best thing you can be if you're a back is if you can run the football efficiently and you can receive the football as well. You do that, you will have a good, productive career in the end, a really good, productive career, because you'll probably last longer.
Yeah, and you also got to be able to block too, because that helps. That helps your quarterback and the confidence. Like you said, you got to be well-rounded.
Yeah, chippers, guys who can chip. It's a big thing, and that's something they don't use in college as much. Guys who can chip. Not everyone does it. So you've got guys coming into you have DBs coming into the league that don't know how to truly backpedal because they use that ass shuffle.
Right, you're right, and I'm glad that you brought up the chipping part, because you would think in college that's where you want to learn it first, so you can get the technique down, because the consequences.
If it's not in your college scheme, there's no point.
That's true, but I always like to teach my boys how to block, because one, in college you're going up against someone who might not be as experienced. Mm-hmm. But when you go in college, if you go in the pros, like let's say you try to block a Devin White.
I think it's a great skill set, because if for example, you love a spread, you're in your spread. Let's say you're playing through the game, and one guy just keeps getting home occasionally, not all the time, but he's disrupting your pass enough that you're either rushing your passes or they're going dead, that you're throwing them dead. You're just not getting as much efficiency because this one guy is just really in your quarterback's face. He hasn't sacked him or anything like that. He's just forced him to make a few mistakes, no interceptions or anything. If you can turn around and go to your guy who can chip, because you've been developing their skill set to chip, you can say, right, stop fucking going out on the flats. Fucking
Facts.
chip him because he's pissing me the fuck off. Our entire passing sets, you're chipping number fucking 27 or whatever number this guy's on. And then once they've adjusted to that, then you can go, okay, sometimes you're going to chip and sometimes you're going to release. So you're going to chip and release, or you chip, fake and release, or you're going to fake release and chip back in. Then we can have a bit more fun with it. But that's one of those things. I completely agree with you. It's a skill set that if you have it, it's such a good adjustment piece that you can put in. It's the ultimate adjustment piece for your running back. Can you chip? Yeah. Awesome. Right. We can do so many different things now.
Amen. And just like you said, if you switch it up, imagine putting Vita like on the edge and Cansey being as well rounded as he is. He's the nose tackle. Shit. What guy wants to block a guy like Vita on the outside if he's not experienced? And he plugs that side up, and Cansey gets home. You're right.
There's so much we can do. It's such an inventive piece that we've got now.
And he has the speed. He has the speed to get on the outside. I think people don't realize Vita used to play running back. So God help him if they toss it and the lineman doesn't hold his part up and Vita just blows him up. That running back is gonna be like, all right, well, I hope the will is in order. And
just go down. Don't fight it. Just go down.
Just go down. So yes, but you are right though. Somebody, Christopher Cole said Atlanta needed defense. They did, but they're Atlanta. I'm glad they messed it up because, and you know who they overhyped a lot? The Saints. I'm like, the Saints had a good draft, but people were like, oh my God, they were stellar. I'm like, we'll see. Because as you said, on paper, there was a lot of people that I remember when they drafted Davenport and everybody was slobbering all over him. I'm like, look at Davenport now. You don't even know who the hell he really is. And the guy who was the man, they had to let go because they couldn't afford him. And Hinkerson, they couldn't afford him. That was the real guy who was giving Brady the trouble. Brady wasn't scared of fucking Cam Jordan. He was scared of Hickerson. He was like, this guy is. So you're right. It's the draft is a big guess. Now, like I said, my hypothesis, I do like that it's solid and it's productive. In your opinion, I want to break again. Give me your favorite pick of the draft outside of the first one. Give me your favorite. Give me the one with superstar potential, and give me one where you go, he's going to be serviceable.
And my favorite pick that isn't the number one guy is probably Yaya. Just because it's something that we need.
Yes.
The one with the most what was the other question? Sorry, because it is a free part.
That could be a potential superstar.
I think it's the same guy.
Yeah.
I think he has something there. I would not be surprised if he could take over that starting role. If I'm honest, one that just will be serviceable. I'm hoping it's the tight end.
Yeah, Payne Durham. Yeah. Okay. I feel you. Yeah, my favorite, of course, outside of Canty is Payne Durham. I love this double tight end shit. I love seeing someone who
you like spread so much.
I like the spread because look, again, my eyes were open when Aaron Hernandez and Gronk were in New England. I saw that shit. If Aaron could have had his head on his shoulders and stayed out of trouble and stayed focused to the game, Brady would have left New England because he'd have still been in there winning the damn championships. That tight end set was unbeatable. Would have been because Gronk can block and he can catch out. And Aaron could block a little bit, but his passing, it wouldn't have been fair. So, like you said, I love the spread because the tight end position has evolved so much now. If you got one guy who can have a combination of both and you got another guy who could just take off, that really will thin out a defense because now your linebackers, especially if you're a linebacker, okay, you might want to put a linebacker on your tight end, but what if your tight end is too fast for him? Now you give the assignment to your safety, but what if your safety is not big enough to take him down? Oh, you want to put a possible corner because of the speed, but now it creates,
that's why the tight end position is the position in football. I think the answer to that is extremely fast linebackers.
Yeah, you have to.
And that's what we're probably hoping that Devin White was going to develop into.
Right. Well, the thing about Devin, he was complete because he had the full size. Usually, when your linebackers are fast, they're a little bit undersized,
Like
and,
Levante.
and like Levante, and usually those are the ones that can get ran over. But we hope that for Devin, and I still have hope. He pissed me off, but whatever. He is still a Buck, so I have support. But I'll get back to my potential superstar. I don't know why. I see a lot in Sir Vosier. And the reason why, because apparently um Ch- uh Cansey vouched for him. So the simple fact that he vouched for a guy like that, I know they play
Mm-hmm.
together, but I see that. And the reason I see it is because, from what I looked at his
Are you taking a dog with him? That's why you. Is
yeah,
that how you see
and
it?
his
You're
pass
taking a dog
coverage,
with me.
he can be coachable. If I'm telling you this, if this guy can be average to above average in pass coverage, Devin better not have a shitty season. I'm not saying that Devin will start because he's Devin, but if let's say one day Devin gets out and all of a sudden Seversier comes in there and he ends up for 3 straight games getting picks. Let's
Mm-hmm.
say that. Now Devin is in a position that puts him at a bad position because now both can say, wait a minute, and this guy can still blitz. Devin, like you're always we like you, but this guy is outshining you. So
Or the case is that the drop off isn't that massive, and therefore, why should we pay you a lot of money when we can save that money and pay him, who might not command the same salary as you, because you're commanding you want what you want. So what we're
yep.
going to do is
That's what I'm saying. And see, that's why I see it. Now, um, that's my potential superstar. And then my serviceable guy, I would say serviceable for the time being. I'm gonna go with Josh Hayes. I think because Bowles picked him for a reason, he's gonna be serviceable. Um, because a lot of people don't realize we still got two strong, solid ass corners in Carlton Davis and Dean. We haven't even given the secondary the love because we so busy salivating on the trenches and the linebackers, but our secondary is going to be a problem. Dean, Carlton Davis, Antoine Winfield, who's going to keep ascending. And then if Ryan does his thing, he just needs to be average. That's the one thing I do love about the pieces on our team. Everybody doesn't have to be a superstar. The people who just coming in, hey, the superstars that are there now, you stay average in this team. It's giving me Patriot-esque hope. Like that's
okay.
how Belichick was back in the day. It was, hey, that's the star. You do your job, just be average or have above average moments, and we're set. And that's why his defense usually always came in the clutch. The Bucs defense again, Bowles minus no injuries. There should be no reason that we shouldn't be, to my opinion, a top 5 defense. Top 5. The only other defenses I see that can be potentially that will be better is the 49ers, the Eagles, uh possibly the Steelers, and that's about it really. The
Okay.
Bucs the Bucs defense is going to be a problem. I'm saying that right now.
It's
Stamping
got to be.
this
It's
defense is
got to
going to be
be.
a problem.
It's got to be to a point where it needs to be. It's got to be. It's got to be. It's got to be as good as last year, or better, or as good as 2020, or even 2021. Reason being is when you bring in somebody like a new quarterback, in the sense of we have never given Carl Trask a shot, so he's going to make realistically rookie mistakes if it's him who starts.
Yes.
And we already know that Baker is a little bit of a risk taker.
Yes.
And sometimes it pays off and sometimes it doesn't. What you need is a defense that can withstand an occasional pick or an occasional fumble because he took a risk or what have you. Now,
Yep.
we're hoping that it's calculated risk. And
Yes.
out of the 10 times he takes a risk, 8 of them come off and 2 of them fuck up.
Yep.
Because occasionally, hey, if someone turned around to you and said, right, if he does this, there's an 80% chance it comes off with a touchdown. There's a 20% chance it could be a pick.
I'll take that 80 all day.
You'll take the 80, right? But you also know, if you know you've got a top 10 defense, you know they're going to get the ball back for you, especially with the ball hawking defense. Last year we weren't too big on the turnovers. We were just very methodical and we're very much freeing out, make them kick it, freeing out, make them kick it. And that's a good thing because there were plenty of times This team's well established. I honestly believe that even if James Winston came into this offense, I'm not saying we're a fucking playoff team or anything like that, but I think he'd have more success because we saw what they did with a defense that started to figure it out mid-season. The problem was he was throwing picks at a tremendous rate.
Yes.
If he threw two picks a pick a game, a pick a game would put him at what 17 picks for the year. So let's say he threw 20 picks, I believe it'd be all right.
Yeah.
I honestly do that. I think there'll be some of those that will come back to haunt, and there's some, especially the sixes. You can't do nothing about no six. Yeah, the sixes
No.
done. There's no
No.
defending that. But the
Yeah.
ones that don't become sixes, the ones that are deep field, the ones that are basically a punt,
Yeah.
those are the ones I believe our defense can defend, and we don't have a problem. Or even those ones that, oh right, they got it at the 10,
Yeah.
they're coming away with 3.
Right. Right. That's it. And I'm glad that you said that. But also, this is why I'm really hopeful with this offense, because now adding a guy like Purdom in there, uh, Durham, sorry, now the offense can stay on the field long enough to where the damn defense can rest.
Mm-hmm.
Brady, honestly, last season, the defense had to go, oh shit, here we go again. We got to at least sustain, but I'm tired. Especially that stuff caught up to a lot of the Bucs defense in the third and fourth quarter, because now it's like I'm gassed. With a guy like Baker, that one moment where he moves the chains, and now it's like, oh wow, like you said, if the defense is solid, well, thank you for giving us at least 6 minutes of rest. Now we can go back out there, we can get a turnover at least, and get
Mm-hmm.
you guys the ball back, and y'all can fix whatever is necessary. So you are right on that. The both offense and defensive, they inspire each other. Hell, if the let's say if Baker Mayfield and them come out just smoking hot and they score a quick 17 points in the first quarter, you mean there's no way in hell that defense won't be inspired. The Bucs defense, if anything, they're gonna be like, yo, we want this offense to keep doing their thing. We're gonna take this damn ball and pin our ears back. That's when blowouts happen, because now the other team is so defeated and their play scheme goes out the window. Now it's, we just gotta play to catch up. That's
Mm-hmm.
what I'm talking about. So yes, you are right. This Bucs defense, my prediction is hopefully they're gonna be number 5 or 4. Or if they can stay healthy, 3. Offense, I just want the offense to get to 14, between like under the 16. I don't want them to be in the 20s, and I want them to be at least,
You want them to be slightly above average.
I want them to be slightly above average, because that's all it takes in this division. I'm not sold.
If you've got an above, if you've got way above, you've got an elite defense, then that's what you want.
Exactly.
Because if you, ideally, you want top 10 of both. Yeah, because then you're really like well rounded.
Yeah, you get top 10 of both your NFC title team or Super Bowl contender. Because again, that's another thing. The NFC is we haven't seen it yet, but looking at from the NFC was weak as hell. It's not we're acting, people gotta act like, cannot think that, oh, all of a sudden this draft is gonna change everything. No, the big dogs right now in the NFC are still San Fran and Philly. That's really about it. Dallas, we know who they're gonna be by December. Vikings, Kirk Cousins is still the quarterback. The Giants, Daniel Jones, no, we don't believe in that. So the NFC is still open. The only 2 people who are the gatekeepers is really San Fran and Philly. But with the San Fran situation, we don't know how their quarterback is going to be now that everybody can adjust to this season. So if Purdy is still the starter, now we know what they can do, and they got to stay healthy. So the Bucs, again, I don't think the Bucs are going to be a Super Bowl contender, but they can still a playoff game.
We just want to hang around in those playoffs.
Yes, I want to see the Bucs just go 11-6, beat a team in the wild card, lose by 3 or
Compete.
touchdown.
Compete.
Yeah, just get beat, not get blown out. Then now you can build, and depending on the only biggest thing that we've talked about is we're scared of the quarterback play, because if Baker has
Talk about quarterback play. A guy gentleman here, Sean Spencer.
yeah,
Great point. I think the issue will be is if the defense struggles, can Baker lead the offense to hold it down?
yes,
It's a fair point. The defense hasn't really massively failed that much over the course of the years with Coach Bowles. So there's no reason to guess that would happen. But there's obviously going to be a game where the defense struggles. That's going to happen, and you're expecting the offense to. It will come down to the run game.
Mm-hmm.
We know that he can, and is he a? He doesn't need to be the leader because there's so many people on that team with experience around him that have won Super Bowls and achieved more than he has. And he's got an offensive line that is, well, I would say at least two members of that offensive line that are legit dudes.
Yep.
Won games, all pros, Pro Bowls, whole shebang. Yeah. Then you go to the outside. You got Mike Evans, who is a captain of the team. That's someone he's going to probably lean on a lot, I would guess. Chris Godwin as well. So it's not like he has to take it all on himself because he's gone to a team where, remember, this is something that Dave Canada said. He wants him to be more like a delivery system, not the be all and end all of the football team.
Yeah.
And maybe that lack of having that lack of pressure, having to be the guy. Because he doesn't need to be the guy. He just needs to be the quarterback. Nope. He just needs to be the delivery system, and that's it. He doesn't need to put the team on his back or what have you, because let's face it, he doesn't. He's not known for doing that anyway. The better thing you can do is go, okay, we've got a run game that can work. If we can get a run, if the Buccaneers get a good run game, he just has to rely on his receivers to get open, and they will. They've done it before. They've done it time again. I don't see that failing anytime soon. However, it is a valid point because there are going to be at least one or two, I would say at least a few games where the defense will struggle for a chunk of the game, and that will require your offense to score, basically. Because what's the goal? You score more points than the other team. The defense there to slow that down. So there probably will be games where he might be required to go out there and put on a 4-touchdown win game.
Yeah, and that and that's I'm glad you said it. We got to do that in another segment where we look at the scheduling and we like for 1 week we do 2 to 3 games where we look at the opposing team and see offense and match up, because you're right. It ain't that many teams that we play. Well, who do we play next year where I go, okay, offensively, the offense got to be a juggernaut. But yeah, Sean, Slick is right. He doesn't have to be the hero, because if
it ain't gonna work, he
can't do the hero. With. I tell people this: Jalen Hurts didn't have to be the hero this season. They put so many things, so many weapons around him. Because I tell people this: without those weapons, Jalen Hurts would not have gone to the Super Bowl. You know how we know, Sean? Look at how we embarrassed them the year before that in the playoffs, in the divisional round. Jalen Hurts was lost, and it wasn't necessarily his fault all the way, but he didn't also have anybody to throw to. He didn't have anything, and the Bucs were just humming. So that's why they went out there and got him the A.J. Browns. That's why they went out there and got that line, and it's just every quarterback. Running backs. Every quarterback ain't Brady or Peyton Manning. Sometimes you can just all you need is a game manager. The Bucs' first Super Bowl we won with Brad Johnson. He ain't elite, but he was serviceable, and he had a team around him. So that's what it's all about.
So we've got a few more coming through and a few comments. We've got Ben Cornett. He's got, are you guys surprised that the Bucs didn't draft a running back this year? I was a bit surprised. I was expecting them to go down that alley, probably in the 4th and 5th. I guess it's who they liked more, and I think that's probably what it came down to, in my opinion. They probably just saw guys and went, "Oh, we want to get that tight. We want to get that tight ended." It looks like they went a little bit crazy for running backs in their undrafted free agents. They can still sign someone in free agency. I believe they are betting on our boy from to start in his sophomore year for us.
Oh yeah, Rashad is going to be that guy, and what makes him special is that he's well-rounded too. We just talked about it. He ain't going to be the person where he's just going to be a battering ram. He can run up the gut if he needs to, but he also can pass catch, and he's good at blocking for the most part. Oh yeah, no, that's why I knew we didn't need a back. We needed to get the positions that were necessary. Running back was not a necessity at this moment. because in retrospect, to be real, Vaughn is not a bad guy either. It's just unfortunately, we had a dork at the OC who didn't know what the hell how to utilize him because people forget Vaughn was the one who scored the play for the Bucs in the divisional round against the Eagles, and he was running up and down the field. He was having his way. Running back was not a necessity. So, but that is a good question though, Ben. But we made up for it in the free agency.
And then Sean's got a nice follow-up question to what he said. Is it Baker's job to lose? Will Trask get any play time of Baker's struggles? Do you want to go first on this one, or do you want me?
I'll just say this: it's
I'll put it back.
it's really both because both have something to prove. Baker, yes, he is more established, but he's not the guy yet to be like, hey, you know, he's more hyped than at this point. But now he has a chance to solidify himself as being at least a good starter because he's on a real team now, not that Browns bullshit. I keep telling everybody, LaRon Landry ain't Mike Evans. Odell Beckham damn sure ain't Mike Evans. So you got guys, two receivers that are consistent stars. Both of those guys in Cleveland were more of the hype and what people wanted. So no.
I always felt the other guy wasn't so bad. I mean, he was more consistent out of the two. Like he was way more consistent, and then he started to fall off a little bit. Because everyone does. Occasionally, it's a hard game to stay relevant for so many years. Like I think Jarvis Landry is a really good wide receiver. Like you said, every wide receiver will have like their patch where they're not so great. And he's found his now, and it's whether he can get out of it and get back into the. It's the same with Thomas. Yeah, had a really red hot start to his career, and then it's just kind of fizzled out. With Chris Godwin, the biggest adversity he hit. They had to share the ball with so many targets, and they were still consistent.
Thomas to me was a high volume guy, but and that's because Breeze just kept throwing them little ass slants because when it was time to show up in the playoffs and they locked the slants down, he didn't come to life. He was more to me a statistical guy, and that's why when people say all they do is go on their statistics, I go, but you're going on a regular season statistics. What happens when the real lights come on, when it's time to win the big one? It's sort of like when people would ask me, would I take Adrian Peterson or Marshawn? I said Marshawn because he knew how to close. Adrian Peterson was a highlight reel, but who got the ring and who was, shit, like Marshawn. So I get it. Trask, for me, he has his window is closing. Now he don't have that much. If Baker does flame out, Trask has to be above average. He can't be average. Maybe not at the moment. So he has a lot to prove, and I'm gonna leave it at that. You go ahead, Slick.
So coming into camp, I'm giving both an equal opportunity, and what I would do is after whoever broke the grade, as in when I'm grading them of that week's practice, then that's when the reps will start to tip in each other's favor. So if someone got an A grade that week and the other one got a B grade, then the person who got A grade will end up with X amount more snaps, and you're just fighting to get more snaps until I get my starter. That's how I'm going to do it. If Baker struggles, I want to have a look at Trask for the reason and one reason only. You only have one more year with him. You don't want to bet everything on that. If Baker struggles, put Trask in. You need to find out what you got with him. There's no point. There's absolutely no point in just burning another year of him just sat on a sideline. Check what Baker. I want Trask to win the job. I do, because it makes sense for the Buccaneers financially. We haven't got a lot of money. We will not have a lot of money next year. We'll have a bit more money next year, but we like doing this thing where we tie up money in all these weird contracts that people, if they don't get re-signed, basically take a portion of the cap with them for a year. With Baker, if Baker has a good year, so for the sake of let's compare him to Geno Smith, and he walks away with 4,000 yards plus and 27 touchdowns and under he's still single digit in interceptions and let's say and two or three fumbles. He is gonna net big money, and I don't know if the Buccaneers can afford it realistically without having to drop other players, and that's a big question. And if they don't, and this is what scared, and this is what my fear is that when you do spend that money, like on a Geno Smith, what if Geno Smith turns back into what he's always been? And that's no discredit. It can happen.
Yeah.
Maybe it just worked that one year because it just worked. We've seen players get red hot and people overpay for them because they had that one amazing year. And that happens in college football too. You see a guy, he had a great year, and they know that agents telling them, go because you are red fucking hot right now. They don't go for the next season. They go in now. We'd all love, we would all love to have a quarterback that's had a full 3 years in college as the starter and grade off that every single time because you've got more to work with. But if you've been in a college and you were the backup, the second year you had a couple of games here and there, when you're playing against North Dakota State or you're playing against New Mexico State or whoever, and you're the Alabama, you've had a few games here and there and had a taste of the fourth quarter or taste of the halfway line. That's fine. And then in your final season, you blow it all away. Well, it's hard to stack anything because I don't know what you've done in your career because you haven't really done anything except this 1 year, and I've got to go off this 1 year. I'd like to see a little bit more.
Mm-hmm.
When you do that, we've seen it time and time again. We saw it with the Broncos when they won the Super Bowl back in 2015. Peyton Manning leaves. Brock Osweiler has a really good season covering for him while he was out injured. Texans go and throw the fucking boat at him.
And he turned the ass.
And he turned into a poor quarterback.
Exactly.
And look, there's no, you've got to be sure. Now, when players can put in consistent years after years after years, which is probably why personally I probably would have waited another year or at least waited to mid-season before I worked on the Jalen Hurts contract myself. Just want to see if what I saw last year isn't just a fluke, because you talk big money, that's the biggest money, right?
That's
the
big money.
biggest money. So you have to make sure you're right on your due diligence. You have to make sure that you're right in your decision making on that. So I want Kyle Trask to win this job. I don't want nothing against Baker. I think Baker's talented. If Baker's the better option, then we go Baker because we have to.
Yep. If Baker gets you if Baker gets you to an NFC title, you have to keep him. There's no way
they're keeping him if he makes the playoffs.
Right. Boom.
And let me put it this way: if we win games because of him, and we don't lose many games in spite of him. So why did we lose? Well, we lost because the defense gave up a lot of points and we just couldn't keep up the speed. Okay, well, was that on him or is that on the defense? It's on the defense. Okay, we won't put that one on him. Why did we lose this game? Well, Baker threw a costly interception that killed the game, won it for him. Okay, we lost because of him. We lost in spite of him. Okay, what about this game? Well, we won because he was fucking straight out balling. Our defense struggled that game, and he was just, and that's what you got to look at. And then the stats, because like you said, statistics can tell you some good things. But did you win because of him, or did you lose in spite of, or did you win in spite of him? So, did your defense have to do everything physically possible, like they did last year? Because we won in spite of Tom Brady. Sometimes Tom Brady turned up for 55 minutes of every game, and it was right the fucking end.
Yeah.
Stuff in between was god awful, and it was that defense that kept them in the game the whole time.
Yeah. And for Ben, it's not about just not believing in Trask. You always make your start. You always make someone work for it. That's been the Bucs' problem years before. When people came to Tampa, they were just given the keys to the throne instead of earning it. That's why you had assholes in Deshaun Jackson and Chris Bakers. When you just automatically ordain someone at that level and they haven't earned it, that's when laziness, entitlement, and lack of passion happens. So for all you know, Baker coming in might be the best thing to happen to Trask because they might duke it out, and Trask might say, "Fuck this, this is my time." And what if in practice he outshines Baker so bad where they go, no, this is our automatic starter. And now he commands the team in the locker room. So no, you always make your stars work for it. Because if not, you're gonna have a Buck season like you did this year. A bunch of people just being there by fate, by name. They let their name carry them this season. You don't want
Absolutely.
that. You
And
don't
we're,
want
we're
that.
hearing that there were players on the team or groups of players on the team or and even potentially coaches that
Mm-hmm.
had that attitude. And we don't want to go down the alley of doing it because we don't 100% know. But Ben Cornett follows up with, if the Bucs really believed in Trask being the starter, they wouldn't have bought Baker Mayfield. I think they bought Baker Mayfield for $4 million. It's not like they spent big money.
Yep.
So what happens if Trask gets injured? Then is it the season over? Of course you bring someone in. I would bring in a Baker Mayfield as my backup quarterback. But
Yep.
you've got to be in the belief he's not going to come to your thing if you're saying, dude, we're only hiring you to be the backup.
Right.
You're
And a
going to lie to him and tell him, oh, you've got a chance. You've got a
Yep.
chance, brother.
His business. And again, someone of his personality, he can bring people to the stands because it's like, oh shit, again, let's look at it this way. What if Baker just throws what if like 4 games, him and Evans are just connecting where one game Evans has a touchdown and 110 yards. The next game he has 3 touchdowns, 80 yards. Then one game he has 205 yards and 1 touchdown. Chemistry, build. Then all of a sudden, the media comes back in. Baker, is this the best offense you've been in? Is this the best coach you've had? Look at it like this. So, or the other opposite that way I just told you about, Ben.
Mm-hmm.
Trask comes in and balls out. And now it's like, man, Trask, are you going to be the future of the NFC compared to the AFC quarterback juggernauts?
Mm-hmm.
It's again business. You need a story, especially in sports in America. You need a story. And narration is what's going to keep this going. That you always need some type of controversy. Again,
Absolutely. And the adversity, I mean, even both stories are actually quite of interesting if you finish it. If it does turn out to be either one of them, Baker goes for a second, goes for a chance with a new team, gets his redemption and what have you, becoming a franchise quarterback. And if it's Trask finally gets his opportunity to shine and become a franchise quarterback. So it's a double win story,
yep.
unless both are shit and you're going to draft a guy.
Right. If anything, right now the Bucs are in a basically win-win. If we have a down season, we can go get a quarterback we really want next year coming out because there's going to be a plethora of them coming out next season anyway. So the Bucs are just in it. We just want to make sure we don't let the stars that we have now go to shit and waste. Where they go, okay, this organization's done. I'm out. So this is why this year's draft we got to knock it out of the park. Um, I think we did do that, and I stamped that down. This is my hypothesis, but my hypothesis tells me we did it. But on that note, I will let you guys go.
I'm done as well, man. I got to go to bed. It's
yes,
4,
but again,
4 a.m. over here, so.
yeah. So again, guys, yeah, you make good points, and I believe, yeah, we'll see. Ben, you come on one day, Ben, and we gonna chop it up. We all talk. But again, thank you guys. Again, always check out Bucks Report, the aftermath, Mondays 9:30. And if you feel for if you want to talk, come on in. We'll send the link. And you can always catch me on my YouTube channel. It's about Bucking Time. I'm back. I'm posting a lot of things now. So I appreciate your time. And Slick.
I'll catch you soon, brother.
All right, y'all take care of yourselves. Go Bucks!
Okay, I'll just finish off with Ben Cornett's question. You make good points, guys, but I believe Trask is the guy when I actually see it. You said it. Mayfield brings in the fans because he's a polarizing figure. Glazers want fans in stands. Absolutely. I don't think you're not wrong. I'd say I want Trask to win. Whether I believe he will win it, I don't know. And whether the staff believes it or not, I don't know. But it just seems smart to double down, if he's not the guy, because he's never been in a meaningful game yet at the pro level. So they haven't really seen anything except for he can make good throws in camp. He can make good throws in camp. He can make good throws in practice. Okay, but that doesn't necessarily translate into the games yet. So I think bring in another person. It's doubling down. It's smart. And like you said, they're going to bring in a polarizing figure that will potentially fill out the stands and what have you. So it's what they need to do. But on that note, Ben, thanks for your comments, which appreciate you guys. Check out Ben Cornett's stuff on Ben Zone. He has a lot of stuff. So he believes he covers wrestling, he covers basketball, he now covers the Bucs. He's an absolute stud. So he's from the Las Vegas, Nevada, so his show's on probably a bit later than mine. I will catch you guys soon next week. My team that I coach, the San Juan Steelers, will have their first game next Sunday. So I'll be breaking down a bit about what's going on in Brick Ball over here. Much appreciated, guys, for everyone that's come on. I will catch you all soon. Bucs on me, Bucs on free. 1, 2, 3. Go Bucs!